Good afternoon, Father.
Good afternoon, Father. Already,
Good afternoon, classmate.
Good
afternoon.
Father.
Happy Easter. Ganun po.
To everyone, happy Easter.
Happy
Happy
Easter.
You know, this morning there was a brownout here in Ateneo campus, so that's why I emailed to you. I was not sure if the power will come back, so eventually it came back. So I'm back here in the classroom. So instead of my in my office, in my computer, so we're gathered here. Okay, so let me check first the attendance. Sister Irene Abulencia.
Ave Maria, Father, present po. Good
Thank
afternoon.
you. Good afternoon. Zoom out ko lang muna. Okay, there, so you can see me. Father Jesuraj, are you here?
Present, Father. Father, excuse me, Father.
Present po, present. Ay, sorry.
Sir Eva Cabidoy.
Ave Maria, Father, she asked, she told me to tell the class and you both that she might be late because she has a problem with the internet.
Okay. So we'll check later, huh? Okay, Maria Martel is, I think she's in Cebu. Sister Chris De Quiros, are you here? Sister
Present,
Chris, I
Father.
see you. Yeah, I see you there.
Happy Easter po.
Happy Easter. Sister Gina, I see you. Sister Gina.
Happy Easter, Father.
Happy Easter. Sister Juliet.
Ave Maria, present, Father, happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Sister Alice.
Present, Father. Happy Easter po.
Happy Easter. Father Kim. Father Kim.
Present po, Padre. Happy Easter po.
Okay. Kim. Sorry, another Kim. Kasi pareho pala kayong Kim, our Korean sister. Kim Sung-mi.
Yes, present, Father. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Father Kim Escobar, do you have Korean blood?
No, Padre.
Wala.
Barely Filipino. Wala po.
Sister Kim, we have here Father Kim. Okay, Father Chris Labrador. Father Chris, are you here already? Wala pa. Lebaw Ngokkoin.
Present, Father. Good afternoon, Father.
Afternoon. Letty Puk.
Present, Father.
Okay, Sister Letty Puk, are you here? Okay, Sister Marie Chris.
Present, Father. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Sister Nuento Uyen.
Father, happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Sister Jennifer Ober. Sister Jennifer, are you here already? Pam Banday, Father Pam Banday.
Present, Father.
Okay. Happy Easter. Father Albertus. Albertus, are you here?
Yes, present, Father.
You're here already. Are you in your house?
Yes, Father.
Okay. Yeah, it's very near Ateneo. Sister Leoncia, I see Sister Leoncia here.
Present.
Yes. Sister Ana Tenerife.
Present, Father. Happy Easter po.
Happy Easter. Sister Tranti Tutrang.
Present, Father. Happy Easter, Father.
Happy Easter. And Sister Emanuela. Sister Emanuela, are you here? Wala pa si Sister. Okay, later we'll check. She might arrive later. Okay. So we'll continue our discussions regarding, in particular, let's begin focusing on the administration of temporal goods. No, this would, of course, directly pertain to our personal manner of living out the vow of poverty, but also this section will also pertain to our institutional our institutional way of living out the vow of poverty, we will all realize that there are different ways whereby our own institutions would live out the vow of poverty, especially if we have large institutions like schools and universities and other apostolates. Now, regarding the personal way of living out the vow of poverty, I don't know. It's my position that that should be more or less the same for all of us. Although I heard some situations that in certain congregations it's a bit different. Now, when I say different, I don't want to make a judgment, but it seems there are questions in my mind that seems not to be a vow of poverty. But anyway, we will not identify any religious congregation, but each of us will have to reflect how our particular institutes live this out. Okay, so the administration of temporal goods in the Code of Canon Law. So we are in Canon 634. Let's look at 634. Okay, regarding institutes, provinces, and houses. I'll read from the text itself. As juridic persons, by the law itself, institutes, provinces, and houses are capable of acquiring, possessing, administering, and alienating temporal goods, unless this capacity is excluded or restricted in the constitutions. So there it is. So we have three big words here: the capacity to acquire and possess. Acquisition can be done how? Well, by buying, by procurement, and so it is also the goods, whether it can be land or anything in particular, can also be donated. So that's a way of acquiring, and eventually possess, administer, of course. Now, with regard to the administration of temporal goods, there are different contexts whereby we administer. We may institutionally own something, and then we, of course, administer. Or we might not own the material goods, but we administer them. And alienate. Alienate basically would pertain to the transfer of ownership. Okay? So these institutes, provinces, and houses are capable. So it's a very basic statement, regarding our institutes, provinces, and houses. But there is a phrase here, as juridic persons. Okay, what are juridical persons? Juridical persons are basically, in simple terms, institutions. It's an aggregate of persons and things. Institutions, like a religious congregation or a religious institute, is a juridical person. A province, like the Philippine province of your congregation, duly established by your general administration in Rome and approved by the Holy See, it is a juridical person. Now, usually when we hear the word person, it only pertains to us, physical persons. Now, in canon law, we have the term juridical persons, and even houses duly established by our own religious congregations, it acquires what we call a juridical personality. It is a juridical person. Okay, so that it basically states again that we are capable of acquiring, possessing, administering, and alienating temporal goods. You might want to ask, why is it stated there? Isn't that obvious? Well, it has to be made obvious because it seems in other countries that basic right of juridical persons in the Catholic Church is denied. In countries where there is lack of religious freedom, in countries where there is repression, especially in countries where there is a strong communist regime in the government. So what canon law is saying, we are asserting we are capable, no, of this thing. No? That's why it's just being stressed to make sure that the public will know, even in the context of repressive regimes. So the question is, why are provinces, institutes, and houses capable of such? Because by virtue of the law, they are juridical persons, they have a legal personality. And then there is a phrase here, there's a certain condition, unless that capacity is excluded or limited in the constitutions. Most probably it will not be excluded. Because how can our institute continue its service if we do not have temporal goods, no, as an institution? But again, canon law tries to cover a variety of situations. Okay? Even if it is a rare situation that a constitution will exclude the capacity of a juridical person to acquire temporal goods. Okay. So as I already explained what juridical persons are, so a juridical person is an aggregate of persons. A group, no? An aggregate, a group of persons. For example, a religious congregation. I am sure that our religious congregations are composed of persons, no? I just recall just now, when I was studying in Rome, I visited our community in Brussels, in Belgium. Now, Brussels is the capital of Belgium. We have a Jesuit community there in Brussels, so I visited there because I enrolled in a French course in Alliance, no, in Brussels. So at that time, and even up to now, there are very few vocations now in Belgium. When I was there, so there are many old fathers in the community, and they had a dog in the community. So jokingly, one of the senior father was taking care of the dog. Welcome to our community. This is a member of our community, the dog. Yeah. Well, many of our congregations have dogs, no, but they are not members of our community, no, because an aggregate of persons is composed of persons, no, or a religious community, a parish organization, that is a juridical person. Now, however, there is what we call also an aggregate of things. And the aggregate of things are non-persons. So for example, an endowment. An endowment it can be composed of money, cash or in bank, but it can also be, I think it can also be a non-cash things, not a land or a building that can, which generates some income. It is a foundation, also it is an aggregate of things. Things can be many things. It can be money or any kind of thing which is non-person. So take note of two categories, aggregate of persons and aggregate of things. Okay, in the code, the second paragraph, on 634, it states, They are to avoid, meaning juridical persons, our congregations, our province, our institutes, our houses, they are to avoid any appearance of excess, immoderate wealth, and accumulation of goods. Okay, luxury, no? You know, when we say we have to avoid the appearance of luxury, it does not mean that our accommodations should be dirty. It does not mean that our accommodation should be smelly. No, there's a way of avoiding luxury or any appearance of it in a way that is modest naman. No? However, it is also true that we can easily identify what a luxurious way of life of a religious congregation can be. Okay? I don't know if you have communities with hotel accommodations. No, I don't know. Is that luxurious already? Is it an appearance of luxury? How do we know? Let me ask you. What would be a good measure or an indication if our community is already living a luxurious life? Is it because when we eat delicious food, is that already luxurious? Any indications that you might have? Oh, Sister Uyen, you are smiling. So could you help us to know if a lifestyle in a community is already luxurious or not?
Father, is for me is I prefer simple and not so big house. Of course, it is in the house for the vocations. If we have many vocations, yes, but is I prefer simple.
Yeah. Yeah, but how do we distinguish luxurious and simple?
Yeah,
But how can we distinguish?
for me, Father, I prefer like in the room, we don't have so many things. If there is aircon, if needed, yes. But if is many things like, for example, the refrigerator and other kinds, I, I, I prefer.
Okay. Other possible indications of a luxurious or simple life or community living?
I leave to other members.
Yes, other members of the class.
Father,
Oh yes, sister. Yes, Sister Mirasol.
Father, I don't know if it is luxurious or not. I think it depends on the community and the country and the mission. We
Yes.
are where we are because, like, for example, in Canada, we already closed our big mother house because it's very big and there are only a few sisters and most of them are already very old, and they moved to another building, a new building with other congregations. So in that building, there are already 3 congregations and lay people. And this building looks like a hotel, Father. So each sister, they are living like in a condo. They have their own toilet, they have their own balcony. It's really like, the condo here. So how do we know that they are not living luxury? And then for their food, it is like a buffet, but you can see the food that they present are like they have choices, only 1 or 2 choices. But these are
Okay.
all in Canada.
Yes.
But
Yes.
here in the Philippines, like for us, we try to have a simple food that will going to nourish us instead of, oh, we're going to how to say, don't spend too much. But if the food is not nourishing, we're going to get sick, and to be sick in Philippines is more expensive rather than the food that you will eat. So how do you balance? How do you balance the the luxury, or what you say luxury, but you need to eat fruits. You don't have to eat every moment or every day. It's the banana. You have to have some kind of other things. So I don't know. I think it's how the community will going to decide, and of course we need energy. Most of the sisters are working, so
Working
I
hard.
think that's it. Yeah, so they are going out and they need to have energy. So for us is to eat well, but of course, mostly the accumulation of goods are mostly the papers that we have. We all have this accumulation. I think for
Papers.
the sisters, you have, especially those who are in the education fields, you will
Yes.
see that all your rooms are full of papers.
Books.
And then, of course, the gadgets, the gadgets you have to upgrade, especially, I mean, it goes with the time that you need to upgrade your telephone or
Yeah.
your computer. So these are all the things that we have to see and really discern.
Yes. Correct.
How do we live a simple life?
I agree with you, sister, that yeah, the first thing you mentioned, it depends in which country you might find yourself in, no? Because there are different standards of living in different countries, in the Philippines, in the US or Canada or in Europe, no? So that's one thing that we have to consider. Just to share with you, no, one thing at least from our own setting among the Jesuits, one basic criteria that is asked of us regarding our lifestyle, is our lifestyle within a similar range with a family of modest means, no? Like for example, if we look around our place, no, what is the context where we are? So in fact, it's a bit more complicated because on the one side of Ateneo, we have a middle class, a middle class or lower middle class. But on the other side of Katipunan, you have there upper middle class and the richer members of the community. But that's one thing that is given to us as a guideline, that our lifestyle should be within the range of a family of modest means, no? And of course, among other ideas that you might want to share, just to help us each other consider, what would be more basic, what would be more luxurious. Any ideas that you might have? Oh yes, Sister Leoncia, please, you can share with us.
Maybe I can compare our communities here in the Philippines, because we have the sisters in some communities, they have everything. They have the cook, they have the laundry, and they have the cleaning, the one cleaning the house, and they all they have to do is when they arrive, they eat already, the food is already prepared, and the dress they receive already clean. And whereas in other communities, we have to cook, we take turn, and we have to wash our own clothes, and we have our common CR, and and they will live in a kind of cubicles, usually. And then in some communities, they have their own room, they have their own CR, and then they have the facilities inside the room. So that's, for me, is a difference between luxurious community and simple community.
Yeah. Okay, I guess also, no, I guess it's similar with our own and perhaps in your own other communities, the other congregations. Yes, because I know in some other apostolates, for example, in a kind of an insertion community, in a more simple community setting. Like for example, we have a community in Bilibid in Muntinlupa. So they have a house. But then again, it's simpler than living in an institutional setup. Usually in an institutional setup, like a big community of 20 or 25, then you have employees, no, who would take care of the cooking and then also doing the cleaning, etc. But even in that context, it might look that kind of we are señorito or señorita, no? The way we use it, our terms in the Philippines. But sometimes the reason is also apostolic, no? Because people are working full-time also, full-time professors, It will be difficult to cook for a community of 20, so we need employees. But even within that setting, no, within that context, there is still room for greater simplicity of lifestyle. No? So I saw Sister Jennifer raising her hand. Yes, sister.
Yes, Father, I have to, let me read to you just a short number of the Constitution.
Okay.
Depending on the circumstances of time and place, and it is also in the canon law, Father, our congregation shall give fitting example of gospel poverty to the world. We must be ever ready to share our time, talents, and resources with the church, with the poor, and with our houses. And then there are instances, Father, that we have our, we have our, it's not a hotel, but it looks like the structure is like a hotel, but it's supposed to be just the practice, what is it? The hotel resort, hotel restaurant management, something like that.
For the
HRM.
students.
Yes,
For the
yes,
students.
for the
They manage.
students. And then, but then, since we have to have like, the idea of the first counselors are for us to have like a Siena till that is run by the congregation. But then we evaluated after a year, Father, that it's not nice, Father, that the Siena till will be run by the sisters in front, the front desk. So it's really very secular. So we try
Okay. Yeah.
to do that because that really, it's aligned with our charism in school, but it's not like a business. It's not supposed to be. So that's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing, Father. And second one, now it's not anymore the name is not Shenatel anymore, but it was changed already. And at the same time, it was already not us, but it was granted by the lay. So the lay is the one running it already, not us. That's one thing. And then second, Father, is what is too much is bad in practicing our vow of poverty. So sometimes, most of the time, we remind the sisters, especially if the sisters are taking care of the pets. So this for us in the congregation, it's a big no-no for the pets inside the house.
You mean dogs and cats and
Dogs
others.
and cats. And so we can take care of the cats and dogs, but outside, not inside the convent. Because we have to consider the community, those who have asthma. But is this also part of my question that sometimes even it was already given an instruction or circular letter of the general, still that there are some sisters who cannot really live, that kind of instruction of that reminder.
You mean taking care of pets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cat.
Umabot na pala sa general yan, ha?
Oh yes, it was already true. But then we have the church is very no, the congregation is very considerate, Father, that we have to be we have to be careful also because so I think it was really like two circulars already. And then, so taking care of the pets, and then we don't know where to find the money, like taking care of the grooming. What is that? The grooming.
Yeah, it can be expensive, huh? Expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. But only one person is doing that. And I'm so sad. I don't know if it is happening to other congregations, but I'm really, honestly, that's also one of the things that, up to now, I'm still considering it to point into. It's a really challenging, Father. Really challenging.
Yes. So don't worry, sister. It's happening to us here in Ateneo also. Because we have a community, I will not identify which community. There's one community, the rector said, oh my God, I already have all these headaches. We have all these Jesuits taking care of dogs. So how many dogs do we already have? About 5 or 6 dogs already in the community. Yeah, so anyway, but I don't know how that was resolved. But there was even one priest having two dogs, no? Yeah, well, anyway, yes, yeah, you're right. We need some consideration also. Maybe that's the way to preserve their vocation, no? To have to have mabuti na lang to show affection to the dog rather than to a woman. but anyway, but one thing I'd like to share, no, you know, there are really many different ways, no, for us to live a simple lifestyle in our institutions, no, in our communities. Um, um, but in the end, we have to consider our mission also. I liked what Sister Marie Chris mentioned. No? As active religious, we need a good deal of energy. We have to have good nourishment, and nourishment not just in terms of calories or whatever, but also some satisfaction also to eat. No, you can be nourished, but in the end, you're not happy after eating the meal, no? Kasi masyadong maalat or whatever. But there is also a way, because these kinds of setup, no? Especially when we gather together for a meal. In many of our communities, that's the only time we gather together. Do you agree? No, because many of us work the whole day, and then at dinner we gather together or at lunch, no? And when we share good food with each other, then the quality of our conversations, is affected. It enhances, our community life. Food, for me, we should not kind of save too much. No, we know what is luxurious food. No, if we order expensive food from wherever restaurant, or when our communities eat in very expensive restaurants, that I don't agree with that. But maintaining, it's a matter of administration also. Our kitchen should be well prepared to prepare good, tasty food. Simple, local Filipino food, sinigang, whatever, kare-kare, can be very simple and yet satisfying for the members of our community. Yeah, what we want to avoid is this, no? Personally, also, this is my context in my own community. I think we should not allow specific personal kind of personal advocacies to be imposed on the rest of the community. We have some fathers or even scholastics, or you might have some sisters in your community who is very much strong on poverty tayo. We should live poorly. We should live simply. Yeah, that's nice, no? But we should not kind of impose our own personal kind of advocacies in a bigger setting of community. In fact, the wisest priest I heard speak, they are the ones who live out on their own, their vow of poverty without having to impose it, on other people. As we will see in a while, there are personal ways of living out the vow of poverty. So anyway, let's continue. So we have avoidance of luxury, excessive gain. Somebody mentioned, it's not our institutions are not businesses. No, we have to be careful because our institutions, our schools, these are church institutions. We are tax exempt. No? And as tax-exempt institutions, we should not have excessive gain. So whatever income we use should be thrown back into the institution. Okay? Whatever income we get in the university, in the Ateneo, all this is returned to the university for educational purposes. One thing that I'd like to share with you, because some of you might be asking, Ateneo, mga Jesuits, ang yaman-yaman nyo. But let me share with you a secret, because this is in our constitutions from St. Ignatius. We have Jesuit communities running universities. We have a separate fund for ourselves. And this fund comes from our own salaries, some donations. No fund of the university goes to the Jesuit Community Fund. That is totally separate. No cent, no 20 peso bill from the university paid by students go to the Jesuit Community Fund. So that is one way whereby we live. So therefore, we live according to our own means, no? According to our, what we eat comes from the labor that we do as administrators or professors. And if there is lack of money in other smaller communities, then we request the provincial for financial support. We do not get from the school fund to bring to the community fund of the congregation. So that's just a secret. Okay, we have to avoid accumulation of goods. Okay. Okay, so here we go now to the more personal aspect of our vow of poverty. We are looking at Canon 668, paragraph 1. Okay, so the question that we might want to ask, can religious manage their own personal properties and estate? So I guess the more basic question is, can religious own personal properties and estate? No? So that's the basic question. Let's look at Canon 668, paragraph 1. If you have your soft copies, could you open your text so we can read the text together? Because this is a very important canon. Okay, can I ask somebody to volunteer to read Canon 668, paragraph 1? Father Albertus, do you have your copy?
Yes, Father.
Yeah, could you read paragraph 1?
Before first professions, members are to cede the administration of their goods to whomever they prefer, and unless the Constitution states otherwise, are to make disposition freely for their use and revenue. Moreover, at least before perpetual profession, they are to make a will which is to be valid also in civil law.
Okay, so we're talking about first profession, no? From after the novitiate, 1 year of novitiate or 2 years of novitiate, then we profess our first profession, no? So the canon states that before actual profession of the vow of poverty, we are to see. We have to ask somebody else in our family, practically speaking, to administer the goods, our inheritance, practically speaking, no? Or the goods that you own already. For example, if a sister working in the bank as a professional, she owns a car, etc. And now she entered religious life, the novitiate. As of that time, she still owns the car. She has not professed the vow of poverty. Now, just before professing the vow of poverty, she can cede administration of the car and of her other properties to another person. Okay? So we're talking about first vows now. It's still temporary vows. The situation will change when the person professes perpetual vows. No? So at least for that setting, that is clear in the code of canon law. When we enter novitiate, we still own the property. If you have an inheritance, you still own it. But when you profess first vows, by the time then, there has to be some other administrator of your goods. I don't know if you have experienced that already in some of your religious congregations, no? Okay, let's proceed. Okay, Father, continue with paragraph 2.
To change this disposition for a just cause, and to place any act regarding temporal goods, they need the permission of the superior competent according to the norm of proper law.
Okay, so that's a basic principle. Any changes in the disposition? Okay, so first of all, I would like to say that everything is written, no? Dapat nakasulat ito. Things are documented regarding specific arrangements regarding the administration of temporal goods. Now, regarding perpetual profession, no? So it states here they are to make a will, which is to be valid also in civil law. Okay, with our vow of poverty, we cannot own these things anymore when we profess perpetual vows. So what do you do with your properties? So therefore, it states here we have to make a will. So you can make a will donating your property to the congregation. Or you can make a will donating your property to some other persons, your relatives or other beneficiaries of your properties before we profess the perpetual vows. Just curious, has any congregation, has any one of you been made aware of any situation, in particular in your own congregation, regarding their personal properties and estate? Are you aware of anything like this? Because it can be very tricky. Huh? It can be very tricky. It can really be a source of problem. Okay, I saw somebody raising her hand earlier. Oh yeah, there, Sister Jennifer.
For us, Father, it's already in the novitiate before the first profession that we have to write, and then we have to sign, and then we have to have that, what you're talking about, the will to give up
Yeah.
our property if we have inheritance from our family. So we
Okay.
experience that, Father. Even
Even with first profession?
yes, that's
Okay.
yeah. But then before the final profession, that was being like reviewed.
Okay.
That's
What
being
if somebody, after the first profession of vows, the first temporary,
yeah.
person, the sister leaves?
Sometimes it did not happen yet.
Okay.
Usually it's being reviewed, Father, that during the perpetual profession, everything will be cleared already.
Okay, dapat by perpetual, dapat if there will be a donation to the congregation,
Yes.
it should be done by that time.
Very written.
Yeah, because it might be problematic if I, for example, under temporary vows, I already make a donation to the congregation of my inheritance, and then eventually I leave. Now what happens to my property? You know, so these kinds of things, yeah. Yes. Others? You have Sister Leoncia, please.
I have also a special case, like for example, I have one sister has an inheritance and divided already among the siblings.
Yeah.
And that sister that sister has a brother or a sister who is in need. So she asked the congregation if she can donate her part to
Yeah.
that poor sister or poor brother. That is also possible.
Yes. And the sister already had perpetual vows.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
The sister-
usually sometimes they do not divide yet the property during
yeah.
juniorate, and then they divide only during after final vow. So of course, before they divide the property, they already presume that they will receive something. And then the
Yes.
sister already explaining to the congregation that she has a brother who is really in need and plenty of children and like this and like that. So we considerate in our congregation, we give consideration to this case.
Yeah. You know, in the Philippine setting, no, it's cultural also, no. Minsan ang mga magulang hindi inaayos agad yung kanilang, hindi agad dinidivide sa mga anak. Gusto malapit nang mamatay, andun pa, hindi pa naililipat.
Yes. Yeah.
Tayo naman, di ba, nakakahiya. We do not ask
Yeah.
for the division of property if our parents are still alive, di ba?
Mm-mm.
Sometimes, ayun na, patay na, hindi pa na-divide. So, it gives more problems, di ba? More problems. Kasi
It's
nga naman,
true.
di ba, parang, bakit? Some parents will ask, do you want me dead already? Why are you asking about your inheritance? Ay, nako. Sister Marie Chris, please. And then after Sister Marie Chris, Sister Alice.
Yeah, I just like to have a case, Father, that
Yeah.
sometimes the inheritance of the sister are in cash. So the parents, especially those who are well off, they gave money to their daughter. So I just discovered this one when I became the regional superior in Hong Kong. Because when we do the accounts, there is one item that is always, it isn't fixed deposit, but it's in our name. And then and then I asked, why do we have this item that we have to renew the fixed deposit many, and every year? We always have this every year. What is this money for? And then they told me, oh, that's the inheritance of our sister. And that sister was my formator. And she has been a professed for like 30 years in the congregation. And the money is still like, it's still there, but it considered that it's her inheritance. So I asked the sister, sister, this money has been in our accounts for many, many years. What do you like to do with this? And then she said, oh, that is the money that my family gave to the congregation when I entered. And I asked her, and I told her, you have been in the congregation for like how many years now? So what do you do with this? And finally, just like what the Sister Leoncia said, oh, she got this kind of, because of the COVID and the things, and then she had this some consideration of can I give this money to my sister? So it becomes like an opening for her to remember that during the time that she entered, that she has this money and the congregation didn't touch it. So this is one case. So the one case that the money is the administrator or the congregation is the congregation. So the congregation have this kind of note that this money is a fixed deposit and the savings goes back to the capital, and this money we don't touch because it's an inheritance. But for me is, what is the use? I mean, if the sister will give it to the congregation, then put it to the community money. But it seems like it's two different things. So that's why I asked her, what do you do so that we will have only one? Because as what you said, it becomes trouble. Every year you renew the fixed deposit, and the accountant will do that. Another case is when the sister entered, some parents also give money. But as what you said, Father, what if the sister will not succeed or persevere in her vocation? So actually, we don't receive money. We don't. The sisters. I mean, the sisters don't receive the money. And we have one case that one sister, when she had her perpetual vow, her sister gave her the money that the father really set aside that money for her. So when she received it during her perpetual profession, that's the time that she gave it to the congregation. So there's some kind of many nuances, many things how the administration of inheritance is with the congregation.
Yes. Yeah, I can only say one thing, sister, to your problem about the money coming in. Sana all. That's one thing is important.
Yeah,
I will ask our own treasurer of the province, because I think it will be best that inheritance that is turned over to the congregation by a sister should be clearly made as a donation to the congregation.
Yes.
So that there's no more the hands, hindi na ganon, still holding on. Okay, That's yours, but it's still mine. It's yours, it's still mine. No,
It's
it
true.
should be
It's true. That's what's
totally
happened.
exactly. It should be totally. It totally becomes the property of the congregation. Then, therefore, if there's a need, no, there's a need, a brother or a sister in need, then what can be done, quick, with the permission of the provincial, is to ask for a donation. And the donation is made not by the sister herself, but a donation by the congregation. So something like that, no? Okay. Oh, Sister Alice Elioran, please.
Yeah, Father, just want to share two things as well. No?
Yeah.
And the second one, Father Bala, is a question. But first thing is, with in line with the what is this one, with the donation, Father, and the inheritance. I just remember one of our sisters was already she already died, Father, but because they are well off in Cagayan de Oro, they are a family of what is this one? They invested in a mining company. They invested
Okay.
in a mining company, and then the sister got her inheritance, a huge inheritance actually, Father. So she donated it to the congregation. Of course, the congregation accepted it, and our congregation was second to the list, no, in the mining company because she has a big share, and even our Mother General was being picked up by a helicopter going to that mining company for the meeting because their family is part of the board of trustees. And then we just heard criticism, so to say, in Cagayan de Oro from the diocese that the RVM is invisibilized and like that. And it was really a hard time for the General Council as well, Father, because they have to discern well on how to really to sell the share of the family, because it was a huge share, Father, because they're really part of the board of trustees. So imagine
Yeah.
our Mother General has to be taken by helicopter for because she has to join the mining and then it's legally speaking and even our morally speaking, it is against because it destroys the environment and everything and so on and so forth. But now slowly we only have little na lang, but there is still little na naiwan, so something like that.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
also the
yeah.
risk, I guess, Father. That's also the risk of the congregation when the sister has to, to donate something like that. I don't know
Yes.
if it is also in the canon law, Father, that if the inheritance is like that, can the congregation say no to accept that inheritance?
Oh, yeah, definitely, sister. Just to make sure in terms of my response, uh, none of us, none of our congregations are bound to accept everything that is given to us, especially, for example, in other contexts, if we know that the donation is being given by a big whatever smuggler in Zamboanga City. No, if we are aware of that situation, we have to be very careful not to accept such kinds of donations. No. Yeah, but again, it's not a very simple situation. What is clear to me is a congregation should avoid falling into a similar situation that you experienced. No? If there is a way, uh, I remember what Mother Teresa said. No, there were a lot of criticisms against Mother Teresa about her own, caring and taking care of the poorest of the poor. Of course, she had to raise funds. She did not try to determine this guy is a sinner, so we will not accept his or her donations. But that's one big criticism against Mother Teresa, that she did not distinguish from whom to accept money. She just said all this money will go to the care of the poorest of the poor. That is something that we really have to discern. No? But again, in the end, at the end of our discernment, if we decide not to accept the donation, well and good. As long as we are thinking about, there's a bigger issue, in fact, beyond just accepting money. So I agree with that stand. So anyway, Sister Alice, you're able to divest, no, from the shares of this mining company. So poor Mother General, oh, she has a lot of problems, like our own provincials, and they have many problems to address. Yes, other questions? Yes, so anyway, I recall what Sister Marisol was saying. I think before, is it correct that there was a particular time in history when entering the congregation, there has to be a dowry that is given. No, may dowry, an amount that is given to the congregation for a young lady to enter the congregation. Did you experience that? Did you have? So it was still practice, but now is it still practice?
Before we have, but now no more.
As
Yeah.
father,
During
we
my
still have
time.
father the
More.
RVN.
Yeah,
Before also.
Yeah.
before may dowry. Okay.
Yeah.
Parang,
It is stated, Father, in the list of requirements. There
yes.
are things, to be brought, and then there is also a sum of money to be we have to bring when we enter the as postulant, as a novitiate. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
now
more
I
for-
don't think there is still. It
Yeah.
depends.
I think the mindset now is not that it is a dowry, but it is a way, it's a material means to assist the sister who's entering the congregation. But in the olden times, kasi dowry yun eh. Di ba yung mga nag-aasawa, those who get married in the olden times, there's a dowry that is given. No. Okay, so let's continue here. So we have here what constitutes the property of the institute. No? Okay, first, whatever a sister or whatever a priest or a brother acquires by personal labor, okay, you thought you're a teacher in a school, or what he or she acquires by the exercise of sacred ministry, a priest who celebrates Mass and he receives a stipend, okay, that is the property of the congregation. Okay. So kayo dyan, yung mga nagtuturo, yung mga campus minister, may sweldo, it should not go to our pockets, no? It goes to where? Where does it go? To your treasurer ba? Sister, I'm curious lang ako. Sister Alice, because the RBM sisters have many schools. Like, do you work in you're a formator, sister, no? Alice?
I'm also in the school, father, as a teacher.
Okay, do you have a salary?
We have, yeah, father, but it goes directly to the what is this one, to our treasurer. I never even hold it, father. I never signed anything.
You don't
Direct po,
receive
father,
anything.
going to the pocket of the community.
Correct. Yeah. It's the same with us. So here in LST, because we are a number living in Loyola House, so that our cashier here transfers funds to the treasurer of Loyola House of Studies, which is just a few steps away, no? And altogether, ang aming sweldo goes to the treasurer of Loyola House of Studies. So that's the vow of poverty. We could not receive any check or any cash at all. It goes direct to the community. Okay, that's clear enough, more or less, no? Even for priests.
Father,
Yes. Yes.
I think another modern way of doing it now, because in Hong Kong and in Macau, if you are teaching in our school, if you are teaching in the school, I don't know, but in our experience, each sister needs to have her own personal bank account. To have her salary goes there, because the government, especially like in Macau, they have subsidy for teacher. So if you are not, you don't have a bank account, they will not going to put that in another community, in another name. And also at the same time, if you are a teacher and then a foreigner who lives in other country, then you will have your own pension when you reach the 60 years old. So it doesn't go to the community bank account, but it goes to your own personal account.
Personal account, yes.
So this is one thing that we have to ask permission to open a personal bank account for pension, for personal pension, subsidy of the government.
Yes.
I think this is like in a modern now, like what sister said, she didn't even see her salary. But
Yes.
because us, like for example, when I was teaching, the government, the Inland Revenue Department are running after me because I need to pay taxes for the professional taxes like that. So I have to write the letter, you know, I'm a sister, I don't have my own personal bank account, blah, blah, blah. So we have to fill a form so that the government knows that even if you are teaching, you don't receive the salary because they called it mandatory provident fund. So the school
Yes.
pay that mandatory provident fund and you pay your own contribution to mandatory provident fund. If you don't teach anymore, that provident fund rests. Like for example, me, I taught in Hong Kong for 6 years and the school paid for that MPF fund and my salary also goes there. So now I'm not teaching anymore. The fund is still there and it's growing because they do it like kind of investment. So it is in my name. So it is in my name when I will receive it when I will be 60 years old. So this is like the modern way now wherever we are, that it's sometimes we have to adjust to the requirements of what the government asks us.
Correct. Yes. Sana all. You know, you're right, sister. Kasi in different parts of the world, we have different requirements, no? And in this specific situation, when the religious has to have a personal bank account, then the congregation will have to consider how to maintain, no? How to maintain the living out of the vow of poverty. Okay? That's the question that I'd like to ask. How does the congregation kind of ascertain, sister, that a particular sister continues to live the vow of poverty even if she has funds at her disposition?
Well, they don't keep the bank book, Father. The bank
Okay.
book is it's been with the community treasurer or in
I
the
see.
community. So you know every time it's the treasurer bursar who will go to the bank account to update. So you cannot withdraw even if it is your own name. So this is some kind of, you will only do that when you receive the money, but everything, especially the elderly sister receiving all this pension, as what you said, Father, we live in our own means. We are all working. So that's what I'm telling the people. Our food doesn't come from the donation from the church. You know, the sisters are working.
Yes.
Maybe you didn't see me working, but my sisters are working and they are feeding us.
Yeah,
And
that's
then the
true.
pension, you know, that I
Yeah.
mean, this is something that because they think the sisters, I don't know about the diocesan, but the religious, we are in the community. Everything that we have, everything we need comes from the community.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a community still in the community. How to say, safekeeping for the bank book. And we have
Sayang.
also a debit card, Father. You know, we need to have a debit card now for everything.
Yeah, you know, we have to
So
be
this
ready
is
and, you
something
know,
that
to
you
be
need to adjust.
adjust in these kinds of situations. Who knows, in the Philippines, it will become like that also. But, you know, these things we have to really to check it out. No? So here, at least on that aspect, now, what we acquire belongs to the religious institute. No, I just I learned in one congregation. These are priests. They're priests. I don't know how it can be done. I don't know what's in their constitutions, but what they acquire, what the money that comes to them from their masses and everything else, they're allowed to keep the money for themselves. So I don't know how it could be done. And then when you need something, like for example, if you need a new, like whatever, a new pair of pants, no, or a new set of underwear. So what do? Oh, well, we just get it from the money that we already have. Whereas for in the normal way of living out the vow of poverty, we have to request, no? We have to request from our treasurer certain amount to be able to be able to buy these things for ourselves. So anyway, I did not ask the question anymore. Anyway, at least we know what is expected of us already, no? Okay, now, whatever comes to our religious in any way through pension, okay, we were mentioning about pension earlier, or a grant or a donation that is given to a religious to us also passes to the institute. Yan. Malinaw yan? Any donation that we receive, it passes to the institute. But Father, I received some money, donations for scholarship of the poor. So I opened my own bank account and I put the money there for my own disbursements for scholarships. That's not allowed because it has to pass to the institute. Now, let me make it clear. There has to be open communication with the religious superior. Now, in an experience that I know in the Society of Jesus, okay, this particular Jesuit has a substantial amount of money for the poor, for the scholarships. Okay, and it comes from a generous heart, a sincere desire to help the poor. And this Jesuit had many rich friends, no, a lot of donors. Now, what was the kind of a compromise that was reached? Okay, that the superior, the major superior, the rector of the community is also a signatory, a co-signatory to the bank account of this particular Jesuit in such a way that there is greater transparency between them. That the Jesuit, the religious, does not just use the funds, independently of the religious institute. So in a way, it's a good way, I think, to settle. Instead of saying, no scholarships, bring everything to the congregation. No, everything to the congregation. But yeah, it can be done technically, but I question whether that would be the wisest thing to do. You're like extinguishing the generous spirit of this particular religious. But in any case, there has to be a real conversation and discernment between the religious and the superior. So I'm sure you have experiences like this also, but canon law is clear. Whatever comes as a donation or pension or insurance belongs to the congregation. Okay, the fruit of economic or commercial activity. Noting that such activity requires the permission of legitimate hierarchical authority, meaning the religious superior. No? What are examples of economic or commercial activity? Well, yeah, the selling of books. No, religious who might, be quite capable of writing and then publishes books. That is an economic activity, no? The publication of books. Some Jesuits, you might know some of them, they published a lot of books. You might have read the books of Father Neil Guillemette about the New Testament and the stories that he published for use in homilies. Other priests, no? Of course, the St. Paul Publications publishes a lot of books by religious. All of that goes to the community. Okay? That goes to the religious congregation. But even before one engages in such commercial activity, it has to have the legitimate permission, the permission of the religious superior. Okay, there's one case that I learned. Okay, hindi naman to chismis, no? Totoo naman to, no? This is true, this is not chismis. Again, a religious congregation of men. They are the two of them, one priest and a brother, a religious brother. You know what they did? They set up a cafe. They established a cafe they sell food, merienda, everything as a commercial activity without informing or asking permission from the religious superior. And then the religious superior learned about it, and then they were asked to stop that activity. And then eventually the priest was transferred to another apostolate because of that. Of course, why is that so? Because this involves money. This involves administration of money. And in many cases, this entails a lot of money that is involved. No? Yeah, so it's important for us to form our men and women in this regard, in the proper way of living the vow of poverty. Okay, collections naman. Collections made by private, juridical, or physical persons or individuals for a pious or ecclesiastical institute. Yan, mga fundraising, no? Even if you are fundraising for an institute for your congregation, definitely, of course, the money goes to the congregation. If you're raising funds, as mentioned, for scholarships, okay, then it has to go to the congregation under the administration of that particular religious, who does the ministry or the apostolate for the poor, as an example. Okay, those are raising funds for foundations, no? Scholarships, and other advocacies. No? When foundations are being established, that involves a lot of money, then it has to be under the supervision of the religious congregation. Okay, some questions for now that you might have regarding this previous discussions about the vow of poverty and our religious institutes.
Father,
Yes, who's speaking?
you go, Father.
Albertus. Yes,
Yes.
you go.
I want to ask about how nowadays we know about the monetized from YouTube. How about that? Because
Yeah, because the
some
YouTube.
priests very popular in YouTube.
Yeah.
Thank you, Father.
Yes, still the same, Father. So it involves commercial activity. When a religious does that, then it's not his or her personal funds. No, that has to be reported to the religious superior. Yeah. However, Father, just to make it clear for diocesan seminarians and diocesan priests, there is no such obligation.
Yes, right.
Swerte mo. I said you're very lucky. No, joke. Yeah, so you have other questions? None. Anyway, as we go along, you can ask your questions. We'll just finish this section on the administration of goods. So that's why we need a financial administrator. No, this is in Canon 636, paragraph 1. Okay, it states that there should be a financial administrator in each congregation worldwide. Okay, worldwide, and also in each province, or whatever you might call it. It can be a district or a vicariate. No, that's there has to be a financial administrator, and that person should be distinct from the major superior. No, the provincial should not be the treasurer at the same time, but also in a local level. No, normally, we would say normally, the superior of the house should not be the treasurer also. These have to be two separate persons. Normally, ideally, because we are protecting, there's a check and balance there, no? If you have a superior and a treasurer, there is a system of checks and balance. If you only have the superior making decisions, and also keeping the funds, then there can be some danger there. No? Okay, so as I mentioned there, in local communities, again, distinct as far as possible. Sometimes our situations are limited by numbers, no? Or you might be 3 in the community, but the other 2 are illiterate regarding funds, no? They cannot count money, then why entrust the funds to the person? Baka maubos ang pera nyo. You might lose all your money if your treasurer does not know how to count money. So wag na lang. Anyway, according to canon law, ano naman, as far as possible na. No? And when in these situations, then the provincial should have kind of a special special safeguarding at the same time, no? With regard to that superior rules also functioning as the treasurer. As I remember in our previous class, I mentioned that in one congregation here, they had a world meeting of their treasurers of their different provinces, and then they come to the place and they saw, oh, puro Pilipina ang mga, ang mga treasurer ng mga provinces. Is that true, Sister Leoncia, the Holy Spirit? Sisters, okay, yeah. Very good. Ibig sabihin talaga maaasahan ang mga Pilipina, the Filipinas are reliable in handling funds, no? Okay, what are the tasks of the financial administrator? Okay, obviously administer the goods, no? Administer the goods. What are the ways of administering the goods? The goods and the money, no? The estate, as it were, of the congregation. Again from the Bible, di ba? A good steward, does not just keep the talents under the ground, no? Tatago lang doon. So if you're the treasurer, you should not do the same, no? Tatago mo lang. You just keep the money. You should try to find ways, for the funds to grow so that we will have more available funds for use in our apostolates, in our ministry. So some treasurers, big time treasurers, they try to find ways to invest the funds, no, wisely. Remember, investment wisely, in such a way that there will be greater income for the congregation. Incomes are not bad; they're in fact good, no, because we are able to have sufficient means to maintain our religious congregations and our apostolates. Yeah. And then the administration of goods is under the direction of the respective superior. Now, there are ways of kind of trying to distinguish the roles of the superior and the treasurer. In other congregations, no, in fact, maybe in most, I'll ask you about this. Surely treasurers make certain decisions, no? Treasurers can make decisions regarding the safekeeping of the money. Treasurers can make decisions about investments of the money. But I think treasurers should not make decisions about the use, the procurement of goods and services without consulting the superior. I think that decision is made by the superior. For example, can a treasurer just decide, oh, we need a new L300 van for our community or for our school? Can the treasurer just make that decision? I don't think so. Because the treasurer functions as a safekeeping role, no? And not so much making decisions about how funds will be used. And I think that has to be done, that decision is to be done by the superior of the community. Do you agree? Is that the way you do it in your own communities? Yes, Sister Jennifer, please.
Usually, the funds is being discussed already in the BOT, Father, the budget.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then, yes, always, but in the local community,
Yes.
the treasurer should always be asking permission for
Yeah.
from the superior,
From
Father.
the religious superior, yes. Yeah, so that's this, we have the same process.
Yeah,
Sister
the
Folk,
big,
Yeah.
the big amount, it should be directed to the council, or if you have to
Yeah.
write a letter.
Yeah, the more extraordinary administration of goods. Okay. Sister Letty po.
Yes, it's just the same, Father. I mean, everything we ask for superior, and we will go to the treasurers to get the money. And this usually the person he asks, did you already talk with the superior? And then yes. And then the superior said yes. Oh, that's the time we get the money. We never ask because the treasurer, I don't know in other congregation, but in our congregation, she's there to keep the money. If we want to admit something, go to the superior and go to her to get the money. And the second is when it comes to the big matter like money or big amount, first they will have a meeting with the local council, superior, treasurer, and the other one also, 3 person,
Yeah.
and then they will discuss. And if they can
Oh.
decide, fine. But if the bigger problem or if the bigger amount and that involving the benefits or involved in the community, so that's a start after talking together. They starting together all of us, and that's the time they will say we decided one. So what do you think before they make it official? Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Because you know what? I was at the back of my mind looking at the role of the superior and the treasurer. What we want to avoid, no, what we want to avoid is to have these two, I would say, power people fighting each other. Imagine that kind of a setup when a treasurer will make decisions independent of the superior, and the superior cannot act because the treasurer is blocking decisions to be made. I dread that situation, no? When you have these two, because sometimes they say, who is the most powerful person in the community? Is it the superior? No, it's the treasurer. Why? Because the treasurer controls the funds. Ah, no, it should not be the treasurer. Because remember, according to the code of canon law, it is the superior who makes the decision, not the treasurer. No? Okay. So, okay, just before we go to this topic, let's just take a break. No? It's now, by my watch, it's 3:25, more or less. So let's come back at 3:45, 3:40. So between 3:40 and 3:45. And then we will resume our class. Okay, see you later.
Sorry, Father, I
Yes.
entered late.
Who's-
Martel here.
I'm Martel. Okay, you're already here, huh?
Yes,
Did you
Father. But I'm, yes, Father.
Cebu?
I am actually waiting for boarding for Cebu. So
Or Cebu? Okay.
yeah, I might
Okay.
also exit a little bit early. I hope you don't mind.
Okay, okay. Okay lang.
Thank you, but I'll be
Okay,
here.
see you
Thank
later
you.
if you are
Thank
there.
you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, just to verify, those who were not yet available when we started the class for our attendance, is Sister Eva Cabido here? Sister Eva, okay, I see you. I see you, Sister Eva. Father Chris Labrador, was he able to come? Father Chris Labrador. Okay, Sister Emanuela.
Yes,
Sister,
Father.
okay, you're here. Okay, good. Okay, this canon is a bit specific, no, regarding debts and burdens. So it is specific? Probably it was an issue in the past, and currently still it is an issue, which is probably the reason why they made a canon out of this issue regarding debts, no, utang. Maraming nangungutang at may utang. Probably when they enter the congregation or the diocese, for example. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, these are situations. If a juridical person, okay, a juridical person can be a parish, it can be your congregation, or it can be your school, or it can be your ministry, whatever ministry it is. If a juridical person has contracted debts and obligations, no? If the institution as compared to an individual person, okay? If an institution contracted debts and obligations, okay, that institution, that juridical person is responsible, even if the superior allowed the agreement. Okay, for example, if a congregation had a loan from the bank, no? And then, so therefore, the superior allowed the agreement. So it is the congregation, the institution should be responsible, no, for the payment of debts, etc., etc. Anyway, that's common sense. No? Common sense naman yan. Now here is the individual. The individual naman. If individual members have entered into contracts concerning their own property with the permission of the superior, no? So again, as we see, religious, we as individuals, we cannot enter into contracts regarding property as it is, no? But we can do so if given by the permission by the religious superior. So who is responsible? The individual members are responsible. Even if the permission was given by the religious superior. So still they, the individual members, are responsible. If however, the individual religious has conducted business on behalf of the institute with the mandate of the superior, then the institute is responsible. So therefore, in other words, if a superior asks a member of a religious congregation, the treasurer or the executive secretary of the congregation, to do business on behalf of the congregation with permission from the superior, then the institute is responsible. Okay. Now, if a religious entered into a contract without the permission of superiors, obviously, the religious is responsible. What are examples of this? Entering into contracts. Well, halimbawa, there is a need for a construction or a renovation or a fixing of a building in a school. And the religious, maybe the campus, I don't know, definitely it cannot probably happen. No, if let's say the directress of the school entered into a contract, Normally, if you're the directress of the school, you have the capacity to make certain decisions. Now, it depends on the amount. If it is extraordinary, then you have to have the permission of the Board of Trustees, no? But in any case, the permission of the superior has to be acquired, no? Okay, if not, then the person, the individual religious will be responsible. Okay? And not the congregation, not the school is responsible for such contract. Okay, let's now proceed to the very important section of our course on the formation of members. So these are Jesuits from Nigeria and Ghana. They at the time when the picture was taken, these guys were novices. So probably now they must be ordained priests already. And this was the novice master at the time, an American, African-American Jesuit from the California province. So George Quickly, he passed away already. So I chose this picture because I was on mission in Nigeria for 2 years. So I have these photos in my folder in my computer. So let's now discuss more about formation of members. We will not finish this topic at this time, but we will continue. Probably the next 2 weeks, we will be discussing formation. So let's start with novitiate formation. Some of you, I think, is there any novice mistress here now, currently? Any novice mistress? Last semester, we had a student, a novice mistress. So anyway, this will be relevant for you. Some of you are juniorate or whatever postulant directress or formator. So what are the requirements for admission to the novitiate? Just take note that in canon law, novitiate starts with, formation begins with novitiate. Canon law does not mention anything about aspirancy. Canon law does not mention anything about pre-novitiate or even postulancy. Canon law, at least from that perspective, begins formation in a religious institute with novitiate. However, that does not prevent our own religious congregations to kind of establish stages of formation that will prepare them for novitiate. And that is what precisely is indicated in some of the items here regarding novitiate formation in terms of preparation before candidates enter and are admitted to the novitiate. So first, requirement, Catholic. Obviously, Catholic dapat, no? Of course, we are ecumenical, and as in our nature as church, we're ecumenical. We relate with other religions, but in entering a religious institute, it has to be Catholic. Okay? Which means baptized Catholic. No? In the Society of Jesus, we have a few. One, at least I know from China, who has already professed vows, entered the novitiate as newly baptized Catholic. So a newly baptized Catholic, we call that person, what do you call that? It will come to me. But he was a catechumen for a while, and then eventually he became a baptized Catholic and then entered the novitiate. Now, in these cases, there has to be a good deal of, before entering the novitiate, preparation muna, no? To make sure that the Christian, the Catholic religion, really becomes a real part of the person's personality, everything from the spirit to the psyche to the whole person, that one truly becomes a Christian, not just in name, but also in fact. The whole person is characterized by the Spirit of Christ and our Catholic religion. Yeah, so I don't think it is wise immediately to admit to formation somebody who has just been baptized. Okay. And then, therefore, what is relevant now? So the stages of formation before the novitiate becomes very helpful. Well, you might call it postulancy or aspirancy. Okay, that's the first requirement. The right intention. Okay, the intention should be for the service of God according to the spirit of this religious congregation. Now, how do you determine right intention? We will see that regarding assessment, no? Absence of impediments. It says there, Canon 597, paragraph 1. If you have your text, let's look at 597, paragraph 1. Yeah, basically, it basically states those two requirements, no? Those three requirements, sorry. Any Catholic endowed with the right intention who has the qualities required by universal and proper law and who is not prevented by any impediment can be admitted into an institute of consecrated life. What are the impediments? We will see in a while. Here is the relevance of the stages of formation that we have, which is not in canon law. Suitable preparation. No? Everything that we do, I would say even from vocations promotions to admission to different stages of formation, aspirancy, postulancy, all these should be geared to suitable preparation for the novitiate. Let us be careful that we cannot transform postulancy into the novitiate. We cannot transform aspirancy to be a novitiate. We cannot treat postulants like novices. That's one thing that we are trying to be sensitive to in our own formation as Jesuits, no? Because before novitiate, we used to call it pre-novitiate, no? But now it's called candidacy. We have to be careful, we have to be always aware that this stage of formation called candidacy is but a preparation. It is not the novitiate. So we cannot advance novitiate formation in the candidacy. No? We have to be very clear that the setup in our own candidacy house would not be as, quotation marks, not as rigid and not as kind of regimented like the novitiate. So we have to constantly remind ourselves as candidates, there should be some greater freedom of their movements. No, they can be out of the house the whole day. Some of them are studying here in LST. The Chinese are also studying English, whether it be at Assumption Language Center or Ateneo Language Center or in LST. So they're not yet seminarians, in other words, no? And they are just being prepared for formation in the novitiate. Now, the thing there is, how do you make that distinction, no? But I think that's not, maybe it's not too difficult, really. We will know, but if you require novitiate requirements on your candidates, then easily we will know that that is not the proper thing to do. So because we have 2 years of novitiate in the Society of Jesus, we cannot make it 3 years of novitiate. No? Okay. Suitable character. Ayan. Suitable character in relation first to the vocation of religious life as a sister, for example, and suitable also to our own charism of our congregation. Whether you be a congregation of sisters, female congregation, or a congregation for men, like us, the Society of Jesus, or the Carmelite Fathers we have here. So suitable character can be a bit relative also. Okay, so you will know what would be, if you have a candidate coming to you and you come to know the person a little more, I think you will already have a sense, ito pwede to. This guy or this lady will be maybe she's okay. She might fit. In some cases, oh, yeah, maybe this might not be the right person for our congregation. No, for us here in the Society of the Jesuits, now we have what we call discernment seminars. We used to call them vocation seminars. So from the people, from the guys who attend the Voc Sem, sometimes the team that handles the vocation seminar, they kind of are there on the lookout. They observe. They observe. Parang pangit tignan, pakinggan. They observe each one who attends. And then in the process, they kind of do kind of a partial assessment. And some of them, this guy looks a promising candidate. Yeah. Hopefully, we can invite him to our vocation growth group. But in some cases, yeah, maybe no. This person cannot be. He seems not fit, no. Well, I won't say much more anyway. But sometimes some people say, itsura pa lang, di na pwede. In Tagalog, just by the looks, no, you're kind of sure the person might not fit. No, I'm not saying anything specific. Okay, but also from your own end, the sisters, you might also have a sense, no, what might be suitable character in our congregation. No, if you find, well, it depends. If your congregation is really active, go to the mountains, no, whatever, and you have a candidate attending your vocation seminar who is so reserved or cannot even in Tagalog, hindi what do you call that? Hindi makabasag ng pinggan, something like that, no? Very sensitive. Then you say, maybe this might not, our congregation, which is missionary, might not be fit for this particular lady. Maybe she's fit for another congregation, but not specifically for our congregation. Anyway, okay, yan ha, character. And then, ayan, sufficient maturity to begin the life of the institute. Okay, this is crucial. No, how do you know if a person has sufficient maturity? That can be a bit tricky. No, and take note, just to be very clear, sufficient maturity, not so much to profess vows already. We should not look for a level of maturity that is fit for ordination already. Sometimes congregations, as in particular, I'm speaking about Met congregation, they're so strict. No, I guess I'm speaking from our experience as Jesuits. Sometimes very strict. The maturity are you looking for? This guy will not be ordained yet. Remember that. And then, according to the Code of Canon Law, sufficient maturity to begin. Simula pa lang. To begin the life in the institute. No? So take note of that, just to keep us be aware of that. No? Yeah. So and then also good health. No? You need good health. What kind of health? Surely physical health. No? Physical health. No? Kailangan ba ang BP is normal? Should the blood pressure be normal? Sometimes that is not possible anymore. Because what sometimes I notice some of our seminarians, they're still very young, kaka-profess pa lang ng vows. Some of them have high blood already. Kasi naman, some of them enter late na, no? They're not too young anymore. Like during our time, when many of us I entered the novitiate when I was 20 years old. In fact, one of my companions entered when he was 19 years old, some 20, 21, 22, 23. So, but now things have changed. No? The times have changed. Sometimes we enter at 30 years old, 35. Sometimes we had cases at 40 years old na, no? Nag-novitiate pa. But anyway, well, the vocation is a mystery. No? We can only know to a certain level, to a certain extent. So there are many things that God sees that we do not see. But we just try to kind of make use of our capacity to judge before admission to the novitiate. Okay, I'll open the floor later, no, to some questions because there might be questions that are running in your mind. Now, to determine, a suitable character, to determine also to not really to determine 100%, to have an insight at least into the maturity of our candidates, no? We need to consult with experts, no? And I think by this time in our own, at least in the Philippines, no, this is already standard that before we admit somebody in our congregation, we provide psychological tests for them. No, that is in Canon 672. Okay, let's see what this canon states. If necessary, the health, the disposition, and the maturity are to be established by experts without prejudice to Canon 220. Now, what is Canon 220? It states that no one may unlawfully harm the good reputation which a person enjoys, or violate the right of every person to protect his or her privacy. So one example that I can give here, if we ask a candidate to do a psychological exam, that person is protected by privacy rules. No? We cannot divulge the results of the psychological exam just to any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Okay? However, our candidates should be made aware that when they do apply to our religious congregations, there are certain requirements for application. No? And one of the requirements for most of our congregations is a psychological exam. Okay, for most of us, maybe not all. But because also, according to the canon law, if necessary. So it is not a hard requirement for us, but it is a wise thing to do. No? To be able to have our candidates assessed by a psychologist. No? There. So therefore, the candidate should know that apart from the psychologist who's in charge of the result of the processing of the psychological exam, that there are certain individuals also who should have access to the results of the psychological test, in particular, the major superior. Okay? The major superior should be given access to that. And our candidate should agree to that. If our candidate says, no, I do not permit the provincial to have access to my psychological exams, then don't ask him to apply to your congregation. How can we function without the people making the decision to have no access to the psychological tests? But apart from that, then the candidates have the right to privacy. No? In fact, when I was vocation promoter, I was vocation director, I was processing the applications of our candidates to the novitiate. So I had to organize the process whereby they take the psychological tests, and our psychologist, you might know Father Roger Shampoo, handles the interpretation of the psychological tests. And when he has finished writing his report, not even me, not even the vocation director has access to the report of the psychologist. The psychologist gives the report directly to the provincial, who makes the decision about the candidates. So that is a way of protecting the privacy of these candidates of ours who apply to our congregations. Okay, for the meantime, you might have questions regarding this matter and also the matters regarding the requirements for admission to the novitiate. I'm sure Sister Leoncia knows where Our Lady of Peace Guidance Center is, where Father Roger Shampoo works. It's there in Ponce ba, Sister Leoncia?
Yes po, Father. Yeah.
Yeah, there. It's your compound. What is the compound of your congregation?
It's in our provincialate in the North Province.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the partner, the longtime partner in the ministry of Father Roger Shampoo has passed away, no? Father, what's his name? Takulumban. The psychologist, yeah, he passed away already. So many congregations ask the office, the Our Lady of Peace Guidance Center, to process the application, psychological tests of their candidates. May I ask our religious congregations, who would administer the psychological test of your applicants? Sister Leoncia?
We have our psychologists also, sisters psychologists.
Okay.
So
In
we
your
send
own
to her.
congregation.
We have a licensed psychologist in our community. So we
Okay.
send to her all our for assessment, psychological
Yeah.
assessment. Yes.
Sister, I have a question. Does she admit assessments from other congregations?
I do not know. I did not hear. Maybe she is very good, Father. You know, she's a German sister actually.
I think I met her
Yeah,
before.
and she's assigned
Tagaytay.
in Manila. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
No, she's assigned in Capitol Hills.
Capitol Hills. Okay. Yeah, because I asked because it's not quite easy, huh? Let me tell you, it's not easy to be able to look for an expert in the field of religious formation, no? And even the diocesan seminary formation. Many are looking for these experts to avail of. Okay, but now it's just basically your congregation, no?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she is
Okay.
accepting that from other.
Okay. Yeah, other congregations. This will help us also because we might know other congregations looking for the parity, no, or the experts.
Father,
Other?
yes, we sent to Emmaus. Emmaus.
Okay, yeah, they do processing already, for assessment, Okay. Sila
And
Father,
assessment also.
sila Father
Orbeck,
Jordan, yeah. Yeah.
Jordan.
Sister Chris, ang MCST, sino bang nagpa-process ng
Father, I will ask Father,
yeah?
when is the best time to have this psychological exam?
Yeah.
Aspirancy or pre-novitiate po? I mean, postulant or aspirant? What is the best po?
Yeah, that's a good question, sister. Yeah. When should it be? Before? Is it aspirancy is the initial, no? Is it before
Yes, apo.
aspirancy? Or is it before postulancy or before novitiate? That's a good question. I have no ready answer. But however, I can say that yeah, sometimes for some people it takes a while, because in the administration of psychological exams, no, there is an important aspect there of self-knowledge first, no. Imagine somebody who has no sufficient self-knowledge and takes the psychological exam. The results might be really very bad, even if the person really is actually okay naman, good, no? It's just that it's possible that this level of awareness will at certain extent determine to a certain extent the result of the exam, no? So therefore, I don't know, it's just me, it might not be good to have the full battery of psychological exams done right in the beginning. Right after vocations promotion, she expresses interest in your congregation and she desires to be an aspirant. Probably not there, just my opinion, because we need to give time to these young women or to these young men to have a greater grasp of themselves, self-knowledge, and that entails a lot of kind of preparation within that period of formation. Maybe it's called aspirancy, no? And then probably if aspirancy is 1 year, probably 1 year is a bit too short, no, to undergo that process, that initial process of self-knowledge. Perhaps another year, postulancy, and then before novitiate. Definitely before novitiate, there has to be, at least from my side, no, a consultation with experts. Just to give time. Some of us might say, better sa simula na so we don't waste time. Waste time. You can already remove those who are not good candidates. Well, it's good to give time. Give time to these young ladies, young men to kind of develop themselves also. Because in many cases, it's probably their first time. You know, these are good people, but it's their first time to have that period of time to be able to reflect on themselves, no? And to get to know themselves a little more. That's my opinion.
Thank you,
Okay.
Father.
What do you think about that, Sister Chris?
Yes, Father. I agree.
Yeah,
thank
I
you
don't know. And the others might want to share their opinions about that also. Oh, Sister Fok.
Yes, Father, when it comes to this psychological test, in our congregation, for the aspirant, we never have that test for the because the aspirancy when they said
Aspirancy.
no,
right.
we don't touch anything when it comes to psychology or whatever. We should let them be free. No, not really free, but the formation is not really that strict. Just let them familiarize with the charism or the life of the
Okay,
community.
sister, let me clarify. So in post aspirancy, no test. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. For the postulancy, yes, we have. When it already come to the self knowledge or all of this, so family or the issue the person have to face, but case to case basis. I mean,
Okay.
not all that you send them to expert or no. It
Okay.
depends. The formator have to observe
Yeah.
which one is need to. She cannot really understand much about which candidate is she need really expert in helping her. Pero if she already encounter and helping her throughout here, so she have to figure out who need help in expert and who not. It not apply for all. Yes, that's all.
Okay. For novitiate, is it the same? Before novitiate,
No,
not
for
everyone.
when it come to the every test it will be done in postulancy. When it come to
Okay,
the
within the
novices, a novitiate, we now focus on spirituals. I
Okay.
mean, no longer all these tests about human. It's more focused on spiritual life, charism to deepen the life of our identity. No longer that's an issue like that. Yes, thank you.
Okay, just remember again, the canon says if necessary. No, it's not really a requirement
Yeah.
for everyone. Yeah. Yes, others. Okay, yes, Sister Leoncia, and then Sister Jennifer. Yes.
Just a little, because in our case, it's not really that, how do you call it, very serious psychological test. It's like the psychologist just send papers, like questionnaire for the postulants to fill up, and then like make story about yourself, or
Yeah.
like something like that. It's not really that you go for psychological tests. It's like that. So, and then after that, we send to the sister psychologist, and she will assess. And
Yeah.
that is before postulancy. That is before novitiate. And then
Okay.
the later formation in the later levels is another assessment. But that is just a kind of I don't know, how do you call it? Murag parang just a little knowledge of the person.
Get to know the person in that aspect of psychological self. No?
Yeah, it's more on tell story about yourself,
Yes.
about your family, about like that, no?
Yes. So, okay, Sister. Sorry, who's the other one raising her hand? Please.
Hi, Father.
Yes.
Okay. Usually we conduct our personality tests before the postulancy.
Okay.
The postulancy. But then we always have this IQ test, Father, that administered by our guidance counselor,
Yes.
also a sister. And
Yeah.
then we cannot interpret, but we can if we are licensed, we can interpret it. And
Yes.
then we always have IQ test because of of course, the charism. At the same time, we want to know if they can manage the formation.
Yes.
That's all fun.
Okay, so there it is. No, this is just a help. No, this is supposed to be a help for the persons who have to make this decision. And remember, this is just one source of information. No, take note. This is not the only source of information to make a decision regarding our candidates. No, we have interaction, no personal interaction with the candidate. Personal conversations with the candidate would give us an idea also about the personality of a specific person. Surely the personality will not emerge immediately. In fact, in many cases, the real personality emerges when the person is already in the congregation. But it's a fact, no? That is the reality of life. No? We do not have access immediately to the entire person of the candidate. Okay, what are the impediments naman? What are the impediments to admission to the novitiate? Who are invalidly admitted to the novitiate? Siguro naman wala naman tayong masyadong problema dito. Probably there are not much problems here. Okay? So we may admit only from 17 years old. No? Siguro naman wala namang tumatanggap sa atin at 70 years old. Sometimes the problem is they are already too old to enter the novitiate. But anyway, we cannot admit anyone below 17. Okay? Dapat 17. So, in a sense, minor pa yan, di ba? Ano bang age of majority? Di ba? 18? But in canon law, we are allowed to admit already at 17. Admission pa lang to, hindi pa to vows. Ha? Iba yung vows. Yung first profession should be 18 years old. Okay? For validity, ha? Next. Ayan. Hindi pwedeng may asawa. Cannot be somebody who has a spouse while the marriage lasts, no? Okay, what if a woman who was married, no? Asal siya, may mga anak. Nabiyuda. Nabiyuda na. So she must be around 60 years old. Can the person be admitted to the novitiate? Yes or no? Pwede.
Yes.
Yes, it's possible. It's possible. No, again, now our congregations might set some limits to the age. No, but if your congregation takes an individual case-to-case basis, regardless of the age, you look at the whole person regardless of the age, then canonically there is no problem there, because when the spouse dies, then there is no more marriage. Okay? Yeah. What if the spouse ay hiwalay? Hindi pwede. The person, for example, has been married in the sacramentally, no? In the church, and the marriage is still ongoing, then the person cannot be admitted to the novitiate. No? Okay. Currently bound by a sacred bond to some institute of consecrated life. No? Remember, take note, currently bound. If a person is in temporary vows in a religious congregation, that person may not be admitted into the new congregation kasi there is a current bond. What if the temporary vows expires at hindi na na-renew? It was not renewed. Is there still a bond? No more. There is no more bond. So there is no more impediment. There is no more impediment in canon law. We're talking about canon law. Even if a person professed temporary vows in another congregation, as long as the vows expire or the person is not bound anymore by vows in a religious congregation, then there is no more impediment. Okay.
Excuse
Now,
me, Father.
yes, please. I was expecting a question. Yes, sister.
When you say spouse, what about divorce?
Yun. Oh, yeah. Yeah. A person who is divorced still with a valid sacramental marriage, hindi pa na-declare null and void, the person may not
Hindi
be
po,
admitted.
hindi naman siya Catholic noong siya'y kinasal. They are not both Catholics.
Okay. Yeah, but they were married, for example, Protestants, for
Civil.
example.
I think it's civil.
Yeah.
No, not
Okay.
in Philippines, but in other
Yes.
country. They were
Yes.
married in civil and then it was divorce.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there is a kind of a complication here because the reason why, as you mentioned, they are not Catholics, no? They are Protestants, okay, for example. The concern here, because for us Catholics, for the Catholic Church, we recognize the marriage, the civil marriage of Protestants as a valid union. No? So for us, even if they are not Catholics, even if they're Protestants, because for them, for the Protestants, their marriage civilly is recognized by the Protestant Church. Okay? Now,
Father,
so
Buddhist naman po eh.
okay, well,
Buddhist.
okay, ngayon,
Okay lang
Buddhist,
yon.
yeah, ito, Buddhist to, no? And they were married in a Buddhist setting, no? Yeah, it is
Parang ganun, Father.
yeah, it is called a natural marriage. Natural marriage yan, no? Again, the reason for this is this, the respect of the Catholic Church for other religions, no? Now, the person is Buddhist and married, but divorced, no? There is a natural marriage that happened, no? So therefore, from their side, it was a marriage. For admission to, now, I could presume that the person was baptized, I suppose, no? Eventually.
Yes, Father. Yes, po.
Okay, of course, the person was baptized eventually. Then, since they are not Christians, no, in that case they can be admitted. No, they can be admitted to first baptism and then eventually to religious life. No, the problem arises if they are Catholics, Christians, because the marriage of Christians is sacramental because they are Christians. In this case, since they are it's a natural marriage, then they can enter religious life. Okay.
Thank you, Father.
Now, I have a question arose in my mind, no, regarding the bond as a sacred bond. Because certain constitutions might require some provisions before admission in the congregation. A congregation might say, okay, a person profess perpetual vows in a congregation. I'm talking about our own, the Jesuit congregation. Now, the person has already left the congregation where he had perpetual vows. Now, in that case, our general should approve the admission of this person into the novitiate, even if that person is not anymore bound by a sacred bond because he already left the congregation. Now, for us, it's still our general who should approve the admission of this person. We had a case in the past. He was a Salesian. He was perpetually professed. He was not ordained, however. But since he left the congregation, then the Father General had to give the permission. Now, your congregations might have that specific ruling. Okay? But as it is not an impediment if there is no bond anymore. Okay, and then also, one who is incorporated in some society of apostolic life. No? This sacred bond in institutes of consecrated life, these are the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience in our religious congregations. However, there is a way of consecrated life called the Society of Apostolic Life. No? They do not profess all three vows. Okay, but they but they are incorporated in the Society of Apostolic Life. So this is just to make a distinction that some are religious congregations, some are societies of apostolic life. If there is a current bond, then it is an impediment for admission into our religious institutes. Or one who enters the religious congregation, the novitiate, out of force, or the person enters the religious congregation out of fear, tinakot ng novice mistress. Okay, you enter my congregation, otherwise, no, etc. There's a threat there. There is fear instilled in the candidate, then the person enters the institute invalidly. Or deceit, no? Niloko. Niloko ang congregation. Okay, come enter the novitiate, and we will take care of the financial needs of your family. And it is not true. It was only said to the candidate so that the candidate will enter the novitiate. It was a bluff. Then the person enters the novitiate invalid. Or a person, or the superior accepts the candidate under the same influence. No? No? For example, the superior was threatened, no, by whoever to admit this candidate to the novitiate. No? Admit my son to the Carmelite order. Otherwise, if you do not admit my son, then I will not give you money anymore. No, that's an example. That's just a joke. No, but anyway, if a superior accepts a candidate under these circumstances, then the admission to the novitiate is invalid. Or the candidate has concealed his or her incorporation in an institute of consecrated life or a society of apostolic life. No? If that is proven that he concealed or she concealed her current incorporation in a community, then that is invalidly admitted into the novitiate. So that is the reason why we have interviews. No? We have interviews so that we can really get to know the candidate very well, especially a past membership in a religious congregation. Okay, what's the purpose again of the novitiate? I said earlier that our aspirancy or postulancy should not become a novitiate life for the candidate. So we have specific purposes for the novitiate. To give the novices a greater understanding of their vocation to that institute. Okay, does this mean that we should not talk about our congregation in the aspirancy or postulancy? I guess we do not have to teach them everything about our congregation. No? Remember, there's still a novitiate for them to get to know our congregation better. No? So just to limit, no, you don't have to say everything, no, in 1 year to our candidates, no, because later in the novitiate they will have a greater understanding of our congregation. Some basic information will be required, no, for our candidates. Now, second, for the novices to experience the manner of life in the institute. So there, when they enter the novitiate, that's when they should actually experience our way of life as a congregation. Let us not convert our candidacy house into like as if they are already sisters, no? Or as if they are already seminarians. No, they're not seminarians yet. No? So because the real time for our candidates to experience the manner of life of the institute is in the novitiate. To form their minds and hearts in the spirit of the congregation and to test their resolution and their suitability. There. Now, you might want to ask, how is their resolution and suitability tested in the novitiate? That's the question. No? How is that tested? Do you give them an examination? Not really. That's not the way to test the suitability and resolution of our candidates. In what context in the novitiate can their real self really emerge? No? So in many congregations now, they have certain activities in the novitiate that kind of test their resolution and then let their personalities emerge. In many congregations, they have what we call experiments or trials. For 1 month, for example, they work in a hospital, or for 1 month, they work in the missions in the rural areas to be able to experience a very simple lifestyle. In this context, then their real questions emerge, their real personalities emerge, their real strengths emerge, but also their real weaknesses also emerge. And these are opportunities to process this information that they discover more about themselves in the novitiate. And of course, for many congregations also, they also have 1 month of spiritual exercises. No? For us, we do the 1 month spiritual exercises of Saint Ignatius. So there in that different setting of prayer, a lot would also emerge in the life and the vocation of the candidate. Okay. So can I ask questions in your own novitiate formation? What are the means whereby in your own congregation, somehow, are we able to test? No? How are we able to test their resolution and their suitability in the congregation? Because all these cannot be tested and this cannot emerge if we don't do much in the novitiate, no? It's my impression. What are your activities in the novitiate? Just to give us an idea. MCST, Sister Chris. How many years is your novitiate formation?
Yes, Father.
1
2
year?
years po, Father, 2 years.
Wow, you're one of the few congregations, I guess, with 2 years. Anyone
Yes, 2
else
years.
here? 2 years novitiate? Oh, SSPS, Holy Spirit, 2 years. Ella, 2 years din kayo. Who else? OP. Okay, because I heard many have only 1 year. For us, for the religious men, the Jesuits, we have 2 years of novitiate. The Carmelites, Father? Father Kim? 1 year. Okay, but you have other earlier stages of formation, huh?
Yes, Father.
Oh, Sister Chris, sa MCST, what do you do in the novitiate?
Yes, Father. In the novitiate, Father, the prayer life is intense.
Yes.
And then, aside from the usual annual retreat, we have monthly, Father. The 4 months, the novices are encouraged to have her personal prayer. May mga guides po, Father, na there are guides that is being provided for the novices.
These are
Like,
spiritual
yes,
directors,
Father.
the directors.
Apo.
Yeah. Apart from the house chores that are done, what do the novices do? Do they go out for some?
No, Father. The first year novices, we call that canonical novices. They just stayed inside the convent.
Okay.
But the second year novices po, which is constitutional novices, they go out to have parang foretaste po ba, Father, ng aming mission.
Yeah, so they do
They are
mission.
being sent to some of our communities here in Luzon, or sometimes in Visayas. Yan, para to
So
have
they experience in the canon law, it
Yes.
says there for the novices to experience the manner of life of the institute.
Yes, Father.
Okay. So
Yes.
during their first year, talagang they could not leave the
Yes,
community.
Father. Yes, Father.
Di ba boring yon?
What we have experienced, Father, even we just attend to an event, we are not allowed to go to Lucena Cathedral to attend an events, Father. Only the
Okay.
other sisters, but we just stayed here inside.
Okay.
So that's why. But
Yeah.
Father, ano po it's not boring. I really
It's not.
love.
Okay, good. Good to
Yeah.
know that. Yeah,
Ayun
okay.
po.
Yeah, again, as I mentioned, it depends really on our constitutions, no, and our
Yes.
complementary norms. There's no single path to follow as long as it's very clear in our statutes, in our congregations. Yeah.
Yes, Father.
Oh, others, what do you do in the novitiate? Who has not spoken yet? Oh, Father Kim, sige nga, share with us naman how you do your novitiate.
For
1 year.
For us, Father, we have 1 year only in novitiate, but we have this kind of studies, outside study, the inter-novitiate program, which we call Exodus.
Yes.
Program.
Different congregations, no?
Different congregations, men and women, Father. But
Yeah.
for us, in our in-house program, we have this kind of Carmelite studies. But before we admit the candidates to novitiate, we have this kind. In our postulancy, we have a foretaste, an immersion, different sectors.
Yeah.
Then we sent them to different sectors. Then we go to the candidates go to the regular communities just to experience what kind of life they want to be in the future, so
Yeah.
that if the candidates will be admitted to novitiate, then the program of novitiate will be integrated to the candidates.
Yeah.
That's why during our novitiate program, it's more on psycho emotional and spiritual activities. That's why every month we have this kind of in our novitiate, because I am assistant novice master right now, Father.
Mhm.
We have this kind of program a spiritual growth report to know
Yes.
where is our novices right now, if they
Okay.
grow, or kamusta yung maturity level nila in terms of
Yes.
knowing their kung saan at ano na yung naiintindihan nila bilang isang Carmelites.
Yes, that's quite important, especially in novitiate formation programs that allow them to experience different activities. No, the important thing there is, as you know already, to process. No, to process their experience. So they do not just go through the experience, but it is processed, and there are insights. No, that would emerge from their own experiences. Yeah, it's good.
Yes, Father.
So diyan, malalaman na yan kung hindi makabasag pinggan ng novice. Palagi ko hindi bagay sa Carmelites.
Yeah, Father.
Yeah, especially you
Knows
guys.
everything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, so others. Okay.
Father.
Yes, who's speaking, sister? Sorry.
Sister Ella po.
Oh, Sister Ella. Okay. How many years ang novitiate?
2 years po.
2 years. They're in Bataan ba?
In Bataan po.
Okay. Oh, so what do you do as, part of novitiate formation?
In our novitiate, 2 years, and then in that 2 years, we have silent year.
Sorry? Silent?
Silent year. That more on, yes, silent year. And that year is really, I'm not allowed to go out. I'm more on focus on prayer life, like that, and all my works is in the house, and I'm not
Okay.
going out for missions, like helping in the school, like that. And then because it's the transitions of our novitiate, no, the difference is that our novitiate now is different from the novice I had experience like five 5 or 4 years ago, because I
Okay.
did my novitiate last 2019, 2000, 2020, and 2021. Supposed to be my silent year is on the first year, but I did on the second year. And so on my first year, during my first year novitiate, what I did is I'm attending class in Exodus.
Okay, the one mentioned by Father Kim.
Yes, and then aside from that, I am doing my mission in accounting in our school.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the 2 years, I'm not allowed to go in vacation,
You're not allowed to what?
to go in vacation.
Vacation with your family.
Yes. And then it's very difficult for me at that time because silent year, and also I'm not allowed to go out. I'm not allowed to speak with anyone in our house, like that, knowing that I'm also together with our foreman aspirants. And
Okay.
then in my silent year, I was sent to another community. It's
Uh-huh.
also in Bataan, but in other community. And then I don't think it's very good in my part because on that year is also the pandemic time.
Ah, yes, yes.
Yes, and so it helped me a lot towards on being in the silent year because it's also the pandemic is also helping me to
Yes.
be in a silent like that po. So
Okay.
this is how my novitiate at that time, but compared to our novitiate right now is different, no, like that po.
Okay. How many were you novices at that time?
I'm alone po.
Ah, you were alone at that time. Yeah, that can be challenging, huh?
Yes, very.
Yeah. It can be kind of challenging if you're, yeah, because we grow, no, we grow together in formation. Yeah. So you're okay naman.
Okay naman po as of
Okay. Yeah. So, would anyone wants to share still about ways of doing novitiate that will really fulfill the goals of novitiate formation? Okay. Anyone? Okay. So let's just do our final slides. So first, for validity of novitiate formation. So first, it has to take place in a house that is duly designated for this purpose. Huh? Okay, before we continue this thing, I have to make sure to say that there are some logistical challenges, no, for some, especially with fewer vocations, no, or congregations which might be quite small. For example, in a country. Okay, so it should be a novitiate house. And it should be established as a novitiate house by the general. Okay, the novitiate cannot just be done anywhere, not even in a house of the religious congregation. But there are certain conditions, as we will see. But the standard is it should be in a novitiate house. Okay, the candidate, with the permission of the major superior or the provincial, can make the novitiate in another house of the institute. For example, there's no novitiate house. Okay? But such condition is that it should be under the direction of an approved religious. There should be a novice mistress. Huh? Even if the person is not called novice mistress or novice master. But he takes or she takes the role of the director of novices, even if the novitiate is done in another house. Especially if there is no novitiate house. And then, again, sorry, I made a mistake. This should be the permission of the general, not just the provincial, no? Not just the vicariate superior. It has to go up to the superior general to give this permission. And the general should have the consent of the council. And all these in particular cases only in individual cases. This should only be by way of exemption. No? Okay. Now, in another canon, we see the major superior, he is the provincial, can allow a group of novices to reside in another house of the institute. Okay? Only for a short period of time. No? Not for the whole duration of the novitiate. So that's what's different. If it is for the whole duration of the novitiate, the general should give permission. If only for a certain period of time of novitiate formation, it will be done in another house of the institute, then the provincial, the major superior would suffice. Okay, still on the validity of novitiate formation, it should be 12 months at least, no? Spent in the novitiate community. No, 12 months dapat, 1 year, no? At least. So some can do 2 years. No? Basta lang at least 12 months, no? Okay. Now, the constitutions can prescribe one or more periods of apostolic activity, as I gave an example to you, to be performed outside the novitiate community. Okay, so the person can be in the rural areas or work in the hospital outside the novitiate community. So that would be, it can be in addition to the 12 months or within the 12 months. It can be an addition, no? And however, this is clear, the novitiate should not be extended beyond 2 years. Normally, no novitiate beyond 2 years. Masyado na mahaba yun, no? Normally. Okay, now a novitiate can be invalid also if it is, number 1, the novice is absent from the novitiate house more than 3 months, no? Hindi pwedeng mawawala sa novitiate ang isang novice for more than 3 months, no? Now, any absence of more than 15 days must be made up. Okay, so pag more than 15 days must be made up, meaning the novitiate can be extended if there is an absence of more than 15 days. Okay, but not more than 3 months. Okay, next. The first profession may be anticipated. No, so for novitiate formation of 1 year, so a novitiate should be 1 year. The day after the period of entrance last year, then the novitiate can be, the profession may be anticipated. Pwedeng agahan. Okay, but under certain conditions. Again, with the permission of the major superior, the provincial should give the permission, but it cannot be anticipated by more than 15 days. No? Otherwise, masyado nang iikli ang novitiate formation. So, what some congregations do, for example, entrance day, like what we do, entrance day on August 1 into the novitiate. Since our novitiate is 2 years, so 2 years after, August 2 is the profession of vows. So the day after they complete 2 years in the novitiate, then they profess vows. However, it can be earlier than that, but not more than 15 days. Okay, so we will continue this discussion. If you have questions, we will continue to answer your questions, no? Because we are going to a different topic already. So we just completed discussion on novitiate formation. Please reserve your questions, write them down if you have some questions, so we can raise your questions in our next class next week. Yeah, Sister Leoncia, you're raising your hand.
That question, Father, about the
Okay.
topic. Father, I am not so sure if I am the only one who did not yet submit the midterm requirement.
It's okay. Yeah, honestly, I've not read them. Yeah, but you can still, please do submit your midterm paper. Yes, please. Those who have not yet, just email them to me. But make sure that by the time I read them, they're already with me. Okay.
Okay po, thank you po.
Yes, so it's okay.
Excuse me, Father.
Yes, sister.
Father, regarding the midterm reflection paper, what about
Yes.
the final reflection paper? I thought the PowerPoint is already for midterm, and then final reflection is choosing one or one topic and then we are going to deepen the topic. So I'm
Ah.
quite confused now, Father. So what will it be?
Yeah. So the PowerPoint is not the midterm paper, no?
Okay.
Yeah, the midterm paper would be a more personal reflection on a specific topic that would interest you.
So that's midterm. What about the final, Father?
The final will be a similar, the same, but on another topic.
Oh, okay. So the midterm is the topic that you have discussed with us. So we will just choose a topic and then we'll go into deepen that and give
Yes.
our comments and
Comments,
learnings.
your
Okay, okay.
reflection, but the same for final.
Okay. Thank you, Father.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Other questions? Okay, so thank you so much. Let's close our class with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thankful to the Lord for the gift of new life given to us by the resurrection of our Lord Jesus. We ask His continued guidance. We ask for the continued inspiration of the risen Lord in our different ministries that we are carrying out. We also are grateful, we are also joyful together with our Blessed Mother at the resurrection of her beloved Son Jesus that we remember during the salubongs that we experienced last Sunday. So we pray to our Blessed Mother in thanksgiving for the gift of new life. Together we pray the Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Happy Easter! Happy Easter!
Happy Easter,
Father
Father.
Anne
Thank
Maria.
you. Bye-bye, classmates.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.